Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first module of the Flag Football Officials Training. My name is Ian Roberts. I am the coordinator of competitive sports, as you saw in the expectations slides. And we'll be going over some flag football rules, some expectations for this sport as well. But let's get right into it. So here's some upcoming training dates. These are tentative, so you may get an email that says these have changed a little bit, but as of now, our training dates are scheduled for Wednesday, October 13th from 6:30 to 9. We may do one on Thursday the 14th as well, to be determined on the time on that, so keep an eye out for that. And then on Monday, October 17th, we will get you all into some practice games. There'll be two sessions for these practice games, either 5:30 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 11:30. And you only need to attend one. If you'd like to attend both, just feel free to reach out to me and we can get that set up. We just need to know for logistics. But so those are two sessions. And the note there is that you must attend at least one of these sessions in order to be scheduled for games. And that is the practice game sessions that I'm talking about. Here's our uniform. So basically all that you all need to bring is pants or shorts that are black and athletic. You're not allowed to wear jeans, cargo shorts, or form-fitting yoga pants. Those are not allowed. So you'll just need to bring those, and then the stripes that you'll be wearing, we'll have out at the field house for you to check out with your supervisor at the beginning of shifts. And then shoes are required while you officiate, so we encourage them to be athletic shoes or even cleats. Street cleats are strongly encouraged. Not 100% necessary though, but it'll help you move around a little bit, make you feel a little bit more agile. So some competitive sports rules, these are for the players. So the players will need to have a UNCW ID to play in our sports out of the fields. Supervisors will be checking them in, so that's just something good for you to know, but supervisors will mostly be worrying about that. Illegal equipment, no hats or dangerous jewelry. So if they just have studs in their ears or studs in their nose, that could likely be all right unless you deem it dangerous. So anything with like hoops or hoops on the nose or anything that is a watch as well will not be allowed. Even if it's an Apple Watch or an athletic watch, they'll need to take that off. So keep that in mind, talk about it in your captain's meetings, and be on top of that. And same with them, they're not allowed to use jeans or khaki shorts either, so make sure they're wearing athletic attire, and the field will all be out at the recreational fields complex. We'll get you out there for the trainings and for the practice games to show you around a little bit as well. Below you can see the scorecards that we use, so each official will be having one of these for each game. And you can see everything on there. You write down scores. You can write down the score for the first half for each team, left and right there. And then at the bottom, you'll see the final score, and SR stands for sportsmanship rating. So you'll need to give each team a sportsmanship rating for each game. It's important for them to stay in the playoffs. So we'll go over the 1 through 5 scoring process that we use for those. But you'll also need to keep track of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, and you'll need to write down what happened and let your supervisor know so that they can fill out the correct paperwork. And then lastly, you'll just need to write who worked each position. So R is referee, LJ line judge, FJ field judge, and BJ is back judge. So just write down the names of whoever worked those positions for that shift. Some of the equipment that we use pylons, cones, or pucks as we call them, and yardage markers. So those are some of the things that you'll be setting up, and we'll show you how to set them up, where to put them, etc. when we're out there. Players equipment. So a note there is that anybody that is wearing a jersey, which they're supposed to wear a jersey, they must also wear a shirt underneath. They can't just go bare skin onto the jersey. We try and keep them separated so that we're able to clean them and they don't stink too bad. So we like to have a shirt underneath, and that is required. The flag belts that we provide, they need to be wearing them in a manner that there's one on each side of their hips and then one in the back. And then braces, such as like a knee brace, they're allowed to wear them, but they're not allowed to have any exposed metal. So they'll need to be contained, all the metal inside the brace if it has any, but hopefully it's just a fabric at most. When it comes to towels, people will bring towels with them so that they can wipe off the ball. They're optional, they don't need to, but what they're not allowed to do is be carrying that towel in their shorts, hanging out the back. They'll just need to place it next to the orange cone or the orange puck, and we'll show you that when we're out there as well. Here's our field dimensions for the flag football field. You'll see it is 100 yards long and 32 yards wide. So that's 80 yards of field and then 10 yards for each end zone. So it's about 20 yards shorter than a regular football field and about 20 yards shorter in width as well. I think a typical regular football field is 52 yards. So those are just some numbers to know there. The three dashes you see on the left are the 3-yard line, the 10-yard line, and the 14-yard line. We'll get into why those are important in a little bit, but those are all marked out there, and we'll use those for certain scenarios. Illegal equipment, so they're not allowed to be wearing pockets, have belt loops or exposed drawstring. So anything that a finger can get caught in, basically, we want to prevent that. So they need to be wearing pocketless shorts, nothing that has a belt loop, and no drawstrings that are hanging out that somebody could potentially catch their finger in. If shirts cannot be tucked in, so we ask everybody to tuck their shirts in that are under their jersey, they need to be at least 4 inches above the flag belt. A little typo there. Above the flag belt is what that's supposed to say. If players have any of these, they can choose to not wear a flag belt. However, there'll be one hand touch at that point, so it kind of puts them at a disadvantage. People can just come and touch them anywhere from the shoulders to the knees, and they'll be down in that way, and no need to pull a flag belt. Sweatshirts with a hood or exposed front pocket, people will be trying to wear those, especially when it's later in the year and getting a little bit colder out. So they'll need to either flip it inside out and tuck their hood in, or they're not allowed to wear it. So they can't have that pocket that people could slide their hand into, or that hood that's hanging out the back that people could catch their hand on as well. Similar to other sports, like I said, no billed hats, no bandanas with knots. So some people will have bandanas that just wrap around their head, and that's fine as long as they're not tied in the back. So anything with knots or dangerous jewelry, like we mentioned, are not okay. And then nowhere on our fields are metal cleats prohibited. So players, so it'll be 7 players for men's and women's. On the co-rec side, it'll be 8 players, and a team must have at least 4 players to start the game. So when you're playing co-rec and it's 8 players, it'll be 4 males and 4 females. And the game can only start with a minimum of 2 from each gender. So even though it's a minimum of 4 to start the game, if they have 3 males and 1 female, or 3 females and 1 male, they will not be allowed to start the game. And if they don't have another person of that gender show up, then they'll be forced to forfeit that game. So the coin toss, the visiting team will call at the beginning of the game. We don't typically use a coin unless you have one on hand. What we do is a 1 or a 2 behind your back. So you'll have the visiting team facing you that's going to make the call, and they'll have the home team captain behind you. You'll hold up a 1 or 2 behind your back, have the visiting team guess. If they're correct, then they have won the toss, and they'll be able to select from one of these 4 options here. And then if they choose to defer, then you'll make the home team captain or the losing team of the coin toss select whether they want offense or defense. And then the opposite team will select which side of the field they would like to go on. And at the beginning of every game, the play will just start on the 14-yard line. There's no kickoffs or anything like that. And we play 2 20-minute halves for flag football, and the clock will only stop for timeouts or in the last 2 minutes of the second half. And we'll go over a little bit of when in the second half in the last 2 minutes that'll stop, as well as how many timeouts, etc. people get. So they get 2 timeouts per half, as you can see there, and you'll have a quick 3-minute halftime. Scoring in flag football is as follows. So every touchdown is worth 6 points. And then the extra point tries, so they have one of 3 options. So that first dash that we showed you on the graphic of the field there, that is a 3-yard line, and that's worth 1 point. The second dash is worth 2 points at the 10-yard line, and then all the way back to the 20-yard line, which is all the way across the field, and we'll have a down marker with it as well. That'll be worth 3 points. Any safeties are worth 2 points. We'll go over what is a touchback versus safety in a little bit. And on tries and overtime, so if there's a change of possession, if somebody throws an interception when going for an extra point, or if they throw an interception during overtime, they're not allowed to return it. The play is just dead when that happens. And the mercy rule for all of our leagues is 19. So if a team is up by 19 with 2 minutes or less in the second half, then there'll be a mercy rule, and the team that is winning will win the game at that point. Speaking of overtime, in the regular season, there is no overtime. Any game that results in a tie will remain a tie, and that'll go on their record. So it's good to be preventative in your captain's meetings and let them know in the regular season, hey, if there's a tie, then we will not play overtime. So that way they can sort of manipulate their play calls and their strategy in a way that hopefully they don't try and go for a tie to push into overtime. In the playoffs, we will do an overtime, and the visiting team will call that coin toss, the 1 or the 2. And our overtime rules are each team, it's kind of like college football rules. So each team will have 4 downs from the 10-yard line to score, and will have extra points for the tries as well, should they score. And then the other team will also get a chance. And then whoever is winning at the end of those 2 series will go ahead and win the game. If it's tied again at the end of the 2 series, then we'll do the same thing, but we'll just flip who goes first and second for the second overtime, and then vice versa as we continue to go on. And it's 1 timeout for the entire overtime, and the goal line is always going to be the line to game. The only scenario where people may have 4 downs is if there's penalties. So starting the clock in the last 2 minutes of each half. So we mentioned that that's the only time we'll be starting and stopping the clock. So major clock stoppers, these are ones that will stop the clock all the way until the next snap happens. So incomplete pass, out of bounds, somebody calls a timeout, touchdown, touchback, all of these that you'll see on the left, we'll wait all the way and we can say on the snap, on the snap. We have some videos where you hear one of our officials giving these instructions here in a minute. And then minor clock stoppers are things such as first down. So if they gain that zone line to gain, then the clock will stop until the ready for play whistle happens. So when the referee is doing their cadence, they will do their cadence and then say on the whistle. And then when they blow their whistle, the clock starts right away. It doesn't have to wait until the snap. So officials, timeouts, penalties, an inadvertent whistle, and we'll go over what that is in a little bit as well. But let's look at 2 videos so we can show you what starting the clock in the last 2 minutes of each half looks like. I believe the first one will be a major clock stopper. You hear the referee say on the snap, and the second one will be a minor, where you should hear him say on the whistle. So that was good there. The only note that I'll have is you want to say on the snap before you play your ready for play whistle. That way everybody knows what's going on, and whoever the timekeeper is of that game is also going to be able to adjust for that. Okay, so that was on the snap as well, but you hear her give that good cadence, say on the snap, and then blow her whistle. So that was very well done. So that is the first module. Go ahead and take the quick, I believe it'll be a 5-question quiz for this module, and come back and we'll get more into depth into some of the rules. Thank you all very much.